Welcome to the KFA Podcast, where our mission is to keep faith alive by kicking ass.
So with that, let's hop in. I just want to start off for the people out there who don't know who Hailey Parker is yet. Who is Hailey Parker?
Well, I am a real estate agent in Clark County. I serve primarily Clark and Cowlitz County, and I've been licensed for, the announcement will go out probably this week, 8 years as of this week, which is really exciting.
So what was that, 2016?
Mm-hmm,
okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And, I think that people get into the business and they think that it's going to be really easy and that they can make a lot of money. And it was that way for me, which is like nobody else. I really hit the ground running, and I was so fortunate to find that my sphere and friends and family were such a big part, have always been such a big part of my business. And so when people have that kind of like rose-colored glasses as why they want to get in the business, I really feel like that was my experience.
Really?
Yeah.
So you jumped in, and how would you say, well, in the beginning, the percentage of your business that came from friends and family and referrals, just was it pretty heavily that for you?
They say it takes 18 months of being licensed for people to familiarize themselves with your name and your brand, and then remember you when people are asking if they know anyone who is a real estate agent. And so in the beginning, I started off as a showing assistant, and then I moved into a buyer's agent role, and they had me focusing on cold calling, cold prospects. Okay. And so I did that for a while, and then I kept wondering and asking, like, why is nobody working smarter, not harder? Why are we not reaching out to the people we know? Why are we not trying to make past clients so excited to share their experience with other people that we're getting past client referrals? Because it was always, you never know where your next transaction is going to come from. Sure. And it was really grinding it out. And when I left, it was because I had that mindset of, this could be so much easier. Yeah. And as soon as I made that switch, referrals came flooding in from my sphere. And it just really felt like, it felt so right, and it felt like a yes, and it felt like what the things that I was feeling were very accurate, and it was shown through the amount of activity and people reaching out to me after that.
So what are some things, just speaking on the hospitality side and how you handle your clients, and what did it look like in those first 18 months for you, or when you're on that team, and when you made that jump and you started focusing on giving extra attention and care to your favorite people? What are a couple things that you did to do that? Yeah,
so starting out, in the service industry, I used to wait tables, and it was very much like a burn and turn mentality. How much money you can make, how quickly, and how fast can you get those people out the door? And that is kind of what cold calling is. When you get a cold lead that you don't know, it's how fast can I convert them, how fast can they close, and then how fast can I get the next one? And so the first couple years of my business, when I was cold calling, that's what it was. It was, maybe we'll never call them again. We won't talk to them again. We'll just get the paycheck and we'll go and wash our hands from it. And then switching, it was, because I'm a really good people person. I think I can connect with all kinds of people, regardless of your background. It doesn't matter who you are. Like, I could meet a homeless person on the side of the road and connect with them, and I could meet a billionaire and connect with them. I think it's just a gift that I have. And so when I switched to intentionally working with my clients in a way to make them feel valued and cared for, then I was able to, like, one of my favorite things and something that I'm known for, and a joke that people tell me when they reach out to me is, I want to buy with you because I want one of your closing baskets.
Okay.
Because you can only write off $20, and what are you going to buy a client for $20 when they just, bought a home with you? And so I threw that out the door, and I listen to specific little things my clients say while we're like viewing homes, like, oh man, well, we're going to have to buy a ladder. Okay, well, I'm going to get the husband a ladder. Or the wife would be like, you know, I really want to do this in this area. And so I'll get her a gift card to a specific place where she can purchase that item that she wants.
Yeah.
So they're typically baskets, and they're like branded to their style and like specific things they said like along the transaction that makes it feel very customized to them.
That's amazing. Yeah. So, and I love that too, because and I don't know, have you ever read the book Unreasonable Hospitality? It really, okay. So it's a good book. You'd probably like it. I don't know if there'd be a ton for you to learn because you're already operating with that mindset, but it's not about the value or how expensive the item was. It's about that you showed them through that action that you were listening and you actually know them. And so I love that. That's amazing. So closing gifts, making it more personalized. Do you still do baskets too, or?
Yeah, I still do baskets. I also send out congratulations. Did you know you purchased your home 1 year ago today? So we make sure that a bottle of champagne, or if they don't drink alcohol, then like sparkling cider, goes out with a card that is delivered on the date of their 1 year anniversary, dropped off at their doorstep. And then I do anniversaries for couples that are married, or birthday cards as well. Wow. So we try to make it feel really, and then of course, client events.
Yeah. What are some of the client events, the favorite ones that you've done in the past?
Well, so last year was my favorite. We did family photos. Of course, if you don't have a family, you could bring friends or what have you. And so there was a bunch of different sets set up that they could choose from. And then I had a professional photographer there, and all they had to do is show up wearing either their Sunday best or maybe pajamas, because there was a bed and they could get cozy, and it was during the holidays. So what it was designed to, if you want to send out holiday cards, then, we'll make it easy. We'll pay for the photos for you. We'll deliver them to you. And all you have to do is upload them and send them out. So we did that last year. And then this year, I'm most excited. We haven't booked anything yet, but the talk is we're going to do photos again, but it will be during the summer, so it'll be an outside setting with a bounce house. We'll have an egg toss game, water balloon tosses. We'll have gift baskets, and then like barbecue. We'll have like hot dogs and burgers and stuff.
That's super cool. That's so you really, well, that one sounds like a fun one for the kiddos.
Yeah.
And but creating more space for community. It sounds like. What was the one you did last year? What was the turnout for that?
I had 120 some odd people come through. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Really, really big turnout.
From dawn to dusk type of deal?
Yes.
Probably took a long time.
It took a long time, but we had them. I have an executive assistant, Cindy. She is wonderful, and she organized the whole thing. Someone would walk in, she'd write their name down, she'd come get them when they're ready for photos. And so everybody could mingle and eat and chat, and then it also flowed very well and went very quickly because it was very organized.
That's super cool. Man, I love that. So aside from how well you're taking care of your past clients, and I'm sure that you're getting a ton of referrals from just those actions right there, but what else do you do to, I guess, meet new clients?
So I'm pretty busy, and my schedule is really full. So if anything, I'm trying to take less things off my schedule. So I'm not necessarily like a boots on the ground. I don't typically go to like real estate seminars. You really won't see me at them unless I'll definitely be at KFA, but I'm not going to fly to Florida. And so a lot of my business comes from like a social media presence, because I don't have to specifically have a time frame in which I go meet with people. I can meet a huge broad range of people. However many people, of course, are, watching my stories or on my profile that day, but I'm consistent about it, and I post every day. And it's
probably creating a lot of just DM interactions, side conversations, stuff like that. So you're kind of in a way creating a funnel for those contacts that otherwise people might be cold calling to.
Yeah. Yeah. And I try to keep my social media presence really warm. So I have a lot of people tell me all the time, like, I feel like I know you. I feel like we're friends. I actually get that most often is like the people who follow me and watch what I'm doing. They say all the time, like, my husband knows who you are. Like my kids are like, oh, are you watching Hailey's stories? Because I try to not just stick to real estate. They know my personal life. They know things that I struggle with. Right. I'm very vulnerable and open up. That way I really do want to connect with these people. Yeah.
Not make it just about real estate, the dry stuff. That's amazing. So with your social media, is that something that you had to train yourself on from the tactic standpoint, or were you just doing that even when you were a server and you're not in real estate? Were you kind of naturally that way on social?
No, there's like this meme that I saw and it described me so well. It was like, I'd love to be a private person, but I literally cannot shut up. Okay. That's just me. Like, I just can't not share things about the things that I'm learning, the things I'm excited about, what lights me up, things that I feel like I'm doing smarter, that I bought some of my time back or something. Whatever it is, I feel like I truly want other people to live a better, more fulfilling, easier, more successful life in whatever way that means to them. And if I find something that's working for me, I'll share it. If it doesn't work for you, that's okay. But at the end of the day, like, I truly want the best for people.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably a good segue too, because you've done some coaching in the past, right? How long ago did you start coaching people on the same note of trying to help people? And
maybe 2018. So I have a lot of certifications. So I first got certified as a breathwork facilitator, and breathwork is what it sounds like. You're using your breath to regulate your nervous system in a specific way to achieve a certain result. So people do it for like high achieving athletes do it a lot for increasing performance. You can do it to decrease anxiety, slow down your thought patterns, whatever they are. So I first got certified to be a breathwork facilitator, and then I got certified to be a life coach, and then I got certified to be a somatic practitioner. And typically when I coach, I'm kind of doing a mixture of all of them because I've found that they work for me in different ways. Yeah. But yeah. Mm-hmm.
And with breath work, I mean, I wish I could say I practice it more. I'm fascinated with it. I love Wim Hof. I followed his stuff, and then just the diaphragm breathing versus breathing with the chest. That's helped me a ton. That's like the extent that I've gone with. But what are some? I would love to. Can you touch more on just some quick tips, just like you're talking to me? Because
yeah. So I don't know how deep you want me to go, but we live in a society that's primarily fight or flight. Yeah. And even if you like check in with your breathing patterns, it typically only goes to maybe like the bottom of your throat, maybe a little bit into your chest, and then it turns around, and that's as deep as our breath typically goes. But of course, we're meant to take full deep breaths. Right. And so what we typically tend to notice are not even that we're in fight or flight, it's our thought patterns associated. And those thought patterns are typically limiting beliefs, fear, self-doubt, etc. And so with our breath, we can change the way we breathe and, of course, our posture. And it will actually regulate our nervous system, because when you're relaxed or grounded, or even like if you haven't been that way for a while, think about the last time you were on vacation where you could just take a full exhale. Our thought patterns are different. They're, opportunity and excitement and joy. And that is, of course, where we should be living. But primarily we don't, just because, of the world that we live in right now.
And that kind of plays into law of attraction then? Would you go there as far to say that?
I have an issue with law of attraction. I have an issue with the word manifestation. So I am sure you've had people on here that talk about it, and this is my issue with it. If we stopped with all of the things that we could do and just started regulating our nervous system, our lives would get better. It just starts like between me and the things that I'm doing for myself. Right. I don't care what you call it. You can call it whatever you want. But when you really start focusing on that, everything else changes. That's the domino.
Yeah. but still you're kind of getting yourself into a headspace of gratitude. I mean, and I'm just speaking from things that I've noticed in my life recently, and where your thoughts are and how you're perceiving the information coming your way, whether that's what's really deciding whether it's good or bad, and then your reaction to that is kind of where that emotional response comes from. And so with breath work, what are like a couple tips if you had someone that you just started coaching with, and we're just talking on that topic? Mm-hmm. How do you recommend people start to make just little steps to better themselves there?
Well, breath work is a trauma release exercise. So there's 2 ways you can do breath work. If I'm not with them, if they've never worked with a facilitator, then you will want an integrative breath work, which means you're alert, you're awake, your eyes are open. You can use it at any time. You can be driving at the grocery store, you can be at home, and it will be called the Halo Active Breath. And it's just in through the nose, out through the mouth. And you're breathing as low as you can. So like breathing into your body. So it'll sound like this. And you're slowing down your breath, and you're intentionally regulating your nervous system. And then if you're working with a facilitator, then you can do a meditative breath work, which is typically a faster paced breath. And when you're doing that, after about 5 or 7 minutes, the front part of your brain, which controls your ego, your racing thoughts, it actually shuts down, and you're forced into your subconscious mind. And so that's why it's a trauma release exercise, because when that happens, you don't really know what you're going to get. You could be like just feeling so relaxed and good, or you could be crying about something that happened when you were 3 years old and you couldn't find your parents in a grocery store, or whatever it is. It forces you to go there. And so that's something that you would probably want to do alongside a practitioner if you have had a lot of trauma, because you don't really know what you're going to open when you're going into a meditative state.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And then what was the second part of coaching certification that you got into? Was it life coach?
Yeah, and then I got certified as a life coach, and then a somatic practitioner.
What's somatic practitioner? Sorry, I don't know what that is.
So somatic therapy uses somatics, so breath, sound, movement, touch, presence. And what it does is they say, there's a book called Waking the Tiger, and it's all about how, or the body keeps the score. It's all about how we hold trauma and store it in our body. Yeah. And so a lot of times what happens is, like I said, we tend to notice the thought forms associated with some of our trauma when we're triggered or put back into a state of fight or flight. And so what we do during somatics is say that someone has had anxiety for forever, and it always shows up the same way. My chest is tight, my jaw is tight, I feel fear, I have, it's typically around these specific things. Well, in somatics, we actually want to lean into that, because we're so designed to run away from it. How fast can I get away from this negative sensation? Yeah. And so somatics teaches you to turn towards the thing that's uncomfortable, touch it, move it, be with it, because that part of you most likely is just trying to keep you safe. Yeah. And so when you can go into it and feel that feeling fully, then it can be released. But when it comes up, we typically shove it back down. Sure. And so somatics is like, let's complete the loop. This feeling, I think about negative sensations is when they come to us, it's an opportunity to go deeper with ourselves and like clear more of the sensations in our bodies that we quote unquote don't want. So if we can turn to it, if we can feel it fully, then we can live in a deeper state of embodiment. And typically that means a deeper state of joy and ease.
Kind of like going towards the fears, like what's the old saying of buffalo versus the is that right? Buffalo versus the cows. When a storm comes, the cows will run from the storm, but they'll be in the storm longer than the buffaloes that just run through it. Oh. Yeah, I mean that kind of sounds similar, right? Like, but it's really internal and dealing with yourself and wrestling. And that I gotta imagine that's pretty uncomfortable for a lot of people to go through that too.
It can be terrifying. Yeah. It can be. It's the scariest thing for a lot of people, because the one thing that they have probably been avoiding their whole life, all of a sudden we're saying no, turn towards it. And that can feel really, really scary. But when we develop a different relationship, when we start looking at it differently, like this is coming up because it wants to be moved. It doesn't want to be here anymore. Like it doesn't want to be stuck in your body. It's information. Then we can turn towards it and we can feel it. And a lot of times with somatic therapy, that means crying, maybe like feeling the fear, and someone's got you. They are like, you're not slipping through the cracks, you're not going anywhere, I got you, go. And you let the feelings run. And then on the other side, they're like, wow, I've never felt so relaxed, I've never felt so at ease. For the first time in my life, I don't have this anxiety with me, because they completed that loop that really was always trying to get completed. They just kept shoving it back down.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I'm really excited, and I think we'll probably officially share it here, but Hailey's going to be joining us at KFA, and we're starting to put together a panel of coaches that touch various different aspects of what people might need help with. And I think that what's really exciting about the way you coach is, I've been exposed to a lot of business coaches, and I have some that I'm huge fans of, and they've helped me in that aspect, and they've also helped me as a therapist as well. But the deeper work, and I think that it's pretty rare. There's not a lot of people I've met or known or had a relationship with that can actually speak to that stuff. You see some cool people that go on a Joe Rogan podcast, and you kind of hear some about it, but it's way over my head, just because it is so deep and kind of hard to discover. What was it, the training that kind of got you down this path of understanding this stuff, or were you just always really fascinated with understanding yourself kind of internally?
Yeah, I think growing up, I didn't understand how people were okay with suffering, how they were just like, this is just what it is. It's like they just collapsed into it. This is just it. It didn't make sense to me how they didn't want to like pull back the curtain. And so, a lot of that had to do with the marriage I was in, how my ex was wonderful and we get along so well and he's fantastic. But when we get in arguments, we would just pretend like we would just let it fizzle out. We would never fully address it, and then we'd just move on, and then we'd be good again. And then we would do the same thing. We'd argue, and then we would let it fizzle out, and then we'd be good again. But we never actually addressed what was, the actual issue.
Sure.
And I think that's very, very, very common. And so for me, I'm someone who I'm like, hey, it's okay if it's harder right now, if it means I'll have a better future. I'm willing to have things be hard in this current moment for my future self. And so I've always been someone that's like, what am I not looking at? What questions am I avoiding? Things like that. So I can really, do the internal work and be like, where am I keeping myself stuck, keeping myself blocked? And I'm a huge advocate for business coaches. I have a business coach. I have a personal life coach. They're very different, and they're both very important. And I think that, when we're talking about KFA and incorporating coaching, and if people are listening to this and they're like, whoa, like I have Pandora's box over here, like there ain't no way. I think what it's good to remember is that for me, how it showed up is I was so busy in real estate, like insanely busy, selling between 60 to 85 houses a year by myself, running, could not slow down. And my question was, why am I missing my son's soccer game? Why can't I slow down? Why am I always working? Why can't I leverage my time out? And it was like, I could not figure out why the money was never enough, why there was a feeling in me that it's never going to be enough. And a business coach would have told me, just hire a team, just do this, just do this. But I wanted to know what I was running from, because that's how it felt. Like I was just like running and couldn't slow down. And so somatic therapy really helped me like figure that out. And so I think a lot of people, especially high performers, were doing it from a place where we don't even understand, But think about once you clear that, like how much further we can go.
Right.
Like I see the vision for my life now because I'm not running anymore. I can relax. I go to all my son's soccer games. I don't miss anything. I'm way more intentional with my family and vacations and connection. And my friend group is like bigger than it's ever been. But I'm making way more money.
Yeah.
And I don't have that like feeling underneath that I'm doing it for a reason that doesn't feel that I'm doing it for a reason that's unconscious.
Yeah. And it kind of allowed you to open up and start from a place of joy and finding the joy first. And then not to say attracting like law of attraction, but kind of like creating the space for the life that you actually wanted versus what you were running from and I can relate to this heavily because I feel like the busyness of everything and getting caught up in that. And I think so many people in business, that screams the loudest. The texts, the emails, the got to respond to this, got to wake up, got to stay late at the office, got to do, and how do you get out of that? And I think that's amazing. So did you go through somatic therapy yourself first and then you just kind of got hooked on it? Like, I have to share this with people?
Yes. So my somatic therapist, her name is Stacy, and I took her 12-month course, and there was a lot of therapists in that 12-month course to get certified, and like half of them were doing it to increase their practice, and then the other half was doing it for themselves. And so I wanted to go in and first and foremost do that work on myself,
right, so
I could actually feel what it feels like to be transformed through that, and then I can coach other people. So that's what I started doing. It was first for me, and now it's like I have this gift that I can share with other people. Man,
that's so incredible. I'm really excited to, well, first off, like, I feel like I just want to sign up with you and I need your help.
Okay, sign here.
Well, we were just talking before this about, with the event's 40 days away and the anxieties and stuff. And I do think that, I've gotten much better over the years, with just personally being able to not fight anxiety, but be able to embrace it and wrestle with it. But at the same time, it's like, how good can you get at basketball or soccer or whatever if you don't have a coach? Like, you can make improvement by just practicing by yourself, but I want to fast forward that myself, and I just know what coaching has done for me in my life. And so we wanted to have you on, obviously, to share about, I guess, tease a little bit about the fact that you're going to be joining us and helping a bunch of our favorite people. And but yeah, what do you have any sort of picture of what that might look like? Obviously, there's so many ways we can go about coaching. You did it before. Was it a group setting? The first go around? Okay.
Yeah. So when the market first started to shift, I did it because I noticed agents, tend to get anxious. Maybe they're a little bit more snippy. You can tell something's going on. And so I was like, I want to have a group program where we can increase production, where they can have their best years ever in a market that feels like it's shifting, in a market that would typically induce stress. And so, I've done that twice. And then I've also done some personal ones it's called that Dream Life Masterclass. I don't do it anymore. I'm clearly shifting to be working with KFA, specifically with real estate agents, business owners, people who want to, wherever they want to go, increase their life in some way. And we do that through a number of ways, like a lifestyle audit, and really starting to make those changes and figure out what's driving us.
Yeah. Well, I think it's amazing the approach you're taking, because I think a lot of people, and I know we've talked about this when we first started talking about the idea of this, a lot of people want to get into coaching as a revenue stream, first and foremost. And also, I think a lot of people would be willing to take any client on and not necessarily want to walk the path of people that are on a similar path to them, busy with real estate, busy with business, the things that you've actually been through, which gives you the credibility to guide someone else through that. And we live in a world where I think a lot of people have a bad taste because they've coached with some person that tried to put them in a box, or they've been in some program that wasn't exactly what it was chalked up to be, and they spent more money that they didn't have, and now they're in a worse place, or they weren't quite in the right space to actually begin it in the first place. They were just told to or sold into it. But obviously you're a successful real estate agent, business owner, and you're not doing coaching to just try and create a bigger business and make more money. You're doing it because you actually care about people. And so we've had a lot of people with KFA, I say a lot, probably 5 or 6 people that have approached us or wanted to talk about coaching in some way. Obviously, we're brand new. I think, what are we on, 14, 15 months of actually being a thing anyways. And so we wanted to take that slow. But it is a little bit scary for us, and because we don't want to tie our brand to anything that we don't trust and respect. And so I just have to share that with you, because I think the way you're going about it, and for everybody listening that might be interested, or this might have piqued their curiosity, it took quite a bit of vetting and getting to a place where we felt comfortable to even entertain. And we don't have any other coaches really on the roster. I vouch for Wayne Salmons because I've been through his coaching and I know what it did to my life and career. But again, that's a completely different avenue of coaching and what people might want.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
Before we kind of wrap up the podcast, I know it goes really quick, but just to that audience, that community, the real estate agents out there who might still be struggling. We've been through such a tough season. Whether it has to do from a coaching standpoint or not, like what would your advice to them be if they might be in that position right now where they're thinking about giving up, or they just, I don't want to go on too long about it, but there's a lot of people, there's a reason this industry struggles with alcohol and struggles mm-hmm. with drug addiction and, mm-hmm. and silent suffering. What would you say to those people that might be listening to this right now?
I would say if you really start thinking about these hard moments in your life as launching off points, as places that you can declare in yourself, like, no more, mm-hmm. And really start leaning into those places, it clears so much faster. If you've been dealing with addiction or whatever it has for years and years and years, typically addiction's never about addiction. It's about the reason that we want to use. So if you can start turning towards yourself, don't make yourself bad or wrong. Yeah. Like, don't make yourself the victim or someone that has done something that they can't move through. When you really start choosing yourself, turning towards yourself little by little by little, that's when your life starts to change. It's the compound effect. And if you are thinking about giving up, I mean, honestly, real estate's not for everyone. If you truly feel like your nervous system cannot be grounded in this business, then you mm-hmm. should get a career that makes you feel really safe and whole. Mm-hmm. But if you feel like, you've tried everything and you don't know where to turn, I would say the most important thing is to know that so if you're in a state of fight or flight, or if you have been, no feeling lasts forever. Yeah. No season lasts forever. Our brain, I know a lot about how the brain works, and it tries to convince us that we're mm-hmm. going to be stuck in a certain place forever, that it's never going to change. We're always going to feel this way. Yeah. Yes, our brains can be so dramatic. Mm-hmm. And so I want those people to start breaking out of the habit of maybe just like, instead of, because there's a few different things. There's people who are like trying to run from that. So they'll, you'll see it if they're like, they work out every day excessively, or they are trying to control their life in some way because another mm-hmm. part of their life feels like it's out of control. Right. If those types of people actually start like letting their house be a little bit messy, or taking a bath, or really like slowing down and nurturing themselves, then that's going to create safety in their body, and then they're going to have that feeling of a good homeostasis and be able to choose differently. And then the same thing with the people who have the opposite side of it. So that would be more anxiety. Yeah. If the other side of it's maybe more depression, you're mm-hmm. more collapsed into it and feel like, you can't even muster up the courage. What if you you fully actually gave yourself permission to be in bed that day, instead of like making yourself bad or wrong and being like, I should be doing this, I should be doing this. When we give ourselves permission to be exactly where we are, that creates change. That invokes a place of full acceptance, and then we can choose what to do differently. We have to stop fighting ourselves. Yeah.
I love that so much. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I know it went by super, super fast. We are going to have a page on the kfaclub.com website that'll kind of link to your website, hopefully, and have a little bit of a bio on you. And so if someone is listening to this and they want to connect with you, or this kind of invoked maybe some curiosity in them, how do they get connected? What does that look like? Is it a discovery call? what's your preferred method there?
Well, I think that because me partnering with KFA is so new, I'd say I'm not taking any clients on right now. Give me a second. Let's figure out, we got to figure out some back ends of our systems, but very, very soon we'll be able to announce exactly what that's going to look like, for how long, what the container is, what the commitment is, and be able to, really start making good strides forward in a place that makes everybody's lives benefit more and more from this.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Hailey. And again, you guys, thanks for joining us. We hope to see you all at the summit, and keep kicking effing A.
Yeah, you can't afford not to be there.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Sweet.
Bye.